Hello, my name is Luigi Pangara. I'm the director, writer, producer, and voiceover artist for this web series, The Purge Blades, and this is the creator's commentary. So this is a web series. It's a spin-off of my previous web series, Big Bad Wolves. And unlike its sister show, this is in 3 parts instead of 6. And so this was a good opportunity for me to expand the characters, expand the setting. In the original web series Big Bad Wolves, it was the werewolf hunters who were the enemies, the antagonists. And in this time, we get a chance to see how they operate, how they function. So the main character is Matthew, and he went through a lot of design choices. At first, he was going to have a big black beard. Then I was going to have him contract a werewolf disease. He also was going to have a sister. Then it was changed to a girlfriend. I spent a long time writing this web series. I hope that shows. Also, in the coming up shots, we're going to feature him killing Alan, one of the characters, an innocent. In my original drafts, it was going to be someone else, and he was going to react to that. But I thought it would be much more dramatic and have much more personal stake for the character, and much more invest in him if he actually did the unwitting murder. So that's it. Another thing I should mention is I cheated a little here. You can see the armor of the Purge Blades, these werewolf hunters. And in the original series, they were iron armor, or at least steel armor, one of them. And I tried that here, but it just didn't look right. So this is a combination which I created my own unique armor set within the creation kit of Skyrim, of what's called wolf armor or companion armor, and also featuring the hood. And we may not get a shot of it here, but I think it's coming up. You'll notice that the members of the Purge Blades, these werewolf hunters, are carrying, with the addition of Matthew, who has a bow and arrow, they are carrying, in the game, silver swords. And Stig, the fellow with the big grey beard and one blind eye, is carrying a silver greatsword, which of course is symbolism in the game and in real life folklore, silver being needed to kill werewolves. Nice little touch. This set here is the redress of the barracks in Riften. We finally actually revealed the name of this place, and this story takes place of what the previous story, the Big Bad Wolves, in the same city of Riften, and decided to call it specchio, the Italian word for mirror, as in the mirroring. So Matthew is mirroring his experiences with Tracy. And this character is Yasmin. And I do like the mod I applied on her. She has a nice Coverwomen mod for her face. Makes her look a lot nicer. Also makes the lips look a lot nicer. Excuse me. And Jessica is a Spanish form of Jessica. And of course she was meant to be... Her character is one that is used, so Matthew has a counterpoint, because he's committed this unknowing murder of Alan. And I needed a human element to deal with that. So Jessica, oh my god, I'm getting my own names mixed up. Jessica was created to fulfill that role, to have that this connection, because these werewolf hunters, they're meant to be bad guys, good guys, but essentially they're the bad guys. So I needed someone to show the effects on their crimes, the crimes of Stig and the crimes of Matthew. So Jessica was created, and I think it's one of my favorite characters in this short web series. So A nice callback to the earlier series. Matthew's pondering over the Lake of Riften. That was actually really gorgeous. And so you see here, I've added a few things. I added the banner of Riften, which became my inspiration of the logo for the web series. But I used like an iron dagger or something. They used something else. So the lighting is very, very stark, as you can see. Very high contrast, lots of whites. Because of course, because when you're recording Skyrim for machinima purposes, it's always a little bit dark. So you've got to artificially brighten it. Also, you notice that many of the lights interior, as we go into the next chapter 2, the lighting of many of the interiors is green. And I chose green because of its connection to purging, which is the purge blades, purging as in sickness, because this society, this organization, the Purge Blades, is sick. It's rotten to its core. It used to be, I wrote this backstories, they used to be like a symbol of good, a force of good, like they're warriors on a holy quest to rid the lands of the evil werewolf menace, and they've descended from that. Nothing but criminals who, instead of catching a werewolf, they get fed up waiting too long. Excuse me. They get fed up waiting too long, and they decide to kidnap someone and say to the general populace, "This is the werewolf, we've caught him. Where's our money reward?" It's a very evil task. And then they kill the innocent, and that's very, very sick. Also, the name Purge Blades refers to a purge, like they're just like a genocide, you know? They're purging it. So it's a very, very corrupt, very corrupt organization. Now, you notice that Matthew, the protagonist, the one who's supplying the voiceover, is not moving his lips. One of the reasons that is because he's supplying the narration, and this has happened in the past. And the other reason for that, at the end of chapter 3, he says one important word, and I had to make a copy of him. Because the other reason of why he doesn't speak is because he is the player character, I control him. The others are NPCs, which are created within the editor. I gave them the speech routines, and that's how I make him talk. So I had to make a copy of him, which wasn't really that difficult, because if you notice, Matthew is default Nord. So when you create your character in Skyrim, and you choose all defaults, that's what you get. So it wasn't that hard. So he says, he only says in the entire 3 episodes, he only says one thing. He only moves his lips for one thing, because that is very important, key to his humanity and very key to his character. So he doesn't move his lips until one important part in chapter 3. So you hear as he goes against one of his fellow Purge Blades, and so Matthew is about to confront Robert here, and Robert, he actually had a much larger part. He was about to get jealous, and that's still true. He still gets a little bit jealous of Matthew and his relationship to Stig, and the fact that he stole his kill. But Robert is also functions as a counterpoint to Matthew. Matthew believes in the rightness. He believes that we shouldn't kill innocent people, that we should focus on right, that if we done something wrong, we should say sorry. And Robert, on the other hand, he doesn't want to repent. He just wants to kill werewolves without thinking about morality, without thinking about are they innocent or are they guilty or not. In the previous chapter, Matthew actually confronts confronts him about this, and he is forced to think for a little bit, and he doesn't want to think about it. And in the end, he gets killed. Quick shout out to the mod Violens and kill cam, I think, and that's one of the moving kill cams that you can get in the vanilla version of Skyrim. They're very hard to pull off. They only activate like a certain percentage of the time, close up to our eyes. That's going to become important later. So those moving kill cam shots only activate a certain percentage of the time. This is a low percent, so I have a mod which actually activates them a lot more. And I think I like the moving kill cams. Very rare, and they look very cool, other than standing ones. And of course, there's an option where you can have them behead or not behead. You can actually choose them how many percent of the time that can they behead. Very cool mod. So Robert, he was also be the one to give him the diary to Matthew, but instead I created Sabine, and Sabine, spoiler alert, is a werewolf, just like Tracy of the Big Bad Wolves and Silver and all those wonderful characters. And I thought it would be much more interesting to have a werewolf character come in and give him that information rather than the diary. And it was getting a little bit too long, and rather than making a 4 or 5 part series, I decided on 3. So that's the reason. So Sabine, she is a werewolf, and she has amber eyes, which is one of the most signifying aspects of being werewolf in the show. And I know I did a little bit plot contrivance where she says that, where she says that she killed the woman who was found on the docks, who originally Stig, Matthew and Robert had came to the town of Specule to find out. Because so yeah, that was a plot contrivance. You don't see the werewolves finding out who the real killer is. And I know it's a lazy writing, but if you think that's not lazy writing, you've seen nothing yet. Once again, a shot of the eyes. I want you to keep that in mind. And I like this night shot, a nice slow pan outwards. Of course, there is a way to do that. And of course, he's showing his respect. He's a very respectful person, I think. Also, take note of his steel plate arm guards called van braces. Not exactly gauntlets, but of course, once again, a custom armor set. And if Sabine here doesn't move her mouth frequently, it's because it's very hard to make. It's harder than it looks to make them have custom audio. The other way around that is to have them join the guard faction, and they'll say the same things that guards in Skyrim says, you know, arrows and knees and that sort of thing. So Matthew goes to confront Stig, and this is just to reiterate the point. The theme of both Big Bad Wolves and the Purge Blades is black and grey morality. Which one is the darker evil? And I think Matthew has some sort of respect now, because Sabine managed to get the diary. And of course, that is another thing of, I wouldn't say lazy writing, but plot contrivance. Stig, during the course of this investigation, I didn't mention this in the series, in these chapters, in these episodes, but he actually stays in Sabine's inn just outside town, and not in the barracks like Robert and Matthew, thus signifying that he is of upper standing and he cares very little of his subordinates. A bit of plot contrivance, but there was no way to explain that. And here is the keep. Nice shot. I really like the Dynavision. The mod gives a nice. The character's in focus, but the background is out of focus. And it looks really nice, doesn't it? And once again, green colour signifying rottenness. Riften is pretty rotten. And here, the scene that's coming up is where Matthew is about to say, I'm sorry. And that is the only words that he ever moves his lips for, because I thought that was a very powerful scene. Let's see if we can spot it. Jeske is talking to her, looking very beautiful, and then Matthew finally speaks for the very first time in the entire series, entire 3 chapters. I'm sorry. And I thought that was really important to have him say those lines, make moves, because it's very character development. He's saying he's sorry for all this bullshit that he caused her for killing her father, but she managed to avenge it. And we have this scene. She doesn't want to become evil, so she decides not to take her revenge. And I thought that was a really interesting point to make, because the theme of this is that there is still hope. Yes, sometimes good guys turn out to be bad guys, but there still is hope, there still is justice. And now, there's a short flash forward as Matthew regains his own identity away from the Purge Blades and becomes his own man, making his own decisions. And I think that is a good way to end it. Thank you for watching this series, all 3 of them, and thank you for listening to my commentary. I appreciate it. If you like this, please share with your friends. I worked really hard on this. And, yeah, I'm not sure what happens to him afterwards. Thank you for watching. Bye.